ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ। पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वाम् अनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। My namaskars to you all who are listening to this talk on Srimad Bhagvad Gita. We are discussing verses in the 5th chapter. So here discussion is going on about the renunciation of action. Now this the name of this adhyaya, this chapter, is itself the sannyasa yoga, the yoga through sannyasa or renunciation. Now this has to be very clearly understood. So Bhagavan is not speaking about, or rather he is speaking about the true spirit of giving up of actions, renunciation of actions. What is the true spirit of the renunciation of action? That is what Bhagavan is speaking about. Now, here until now, if somebody takes it at face value, just goes around by words, and if he is not a true reader from what is happening since second chapter, or rather first chapter, verse by verse, if he is not studying it, so he might get misled. He might get a wrong impression. Kind of what? Kind of that in third chapter he was talking about karma yoga. Now he is talking about karma sannyasa yoga. So it is not that. So karma yoga and this is sannyasa yoga, so apparently they are contradicting to each other. People who know little and they many time they talk a lot, debate, and the people, devotees, many time gullible people, so who themselves might not have read, so a doubt is sowed in their mind. So see, Gita is full of contradiction, etc. So it is not that. Karma yoga, here sannyasa yoga, what is being discussed, the idea of renunciation of action, is the very spirit of karma yoga. So what does it mean that yoga through action and yoga through renunciation of action, how these things are not contradictory? Yes, that's what is the true yoga of true karma yoga. Because in earlier chapter, in the 4th chapter, the 18th verse, I had said that is the epitome of the perfection of karma yoga. What is that verse? Karmani akarmaya pashed akarmani cha karmaya sa buddhiman manusyeshu sa yuktah sa krusna karma krut. He is the doer of all his duties. He is the doer of all actions. Sa krusna karma krut. The one who sees non-action in action and action in non-action. So this is what? In karma, while doing action, while engaged in action, the person who has been able to or who has succeeded in giving up of all actions, very essentially that is the doership. The doership. So these ideas are being discussed here now in the 5th chapter. We have seen some of the verses. It is very evident that this person who has become perfect, who has attained the knowledge through the path of karma yoga, does not relinquish action, does not give up action, does not give up the path. He continued to engaged in action. So like 7th verse we see. So 6th verse is Sanyasastu Mahabahu Dukkham Aptum Ayogatah. The one person who is not adept in this path of karma yoga, for him it is going to be very sorry tale. It is going to be very painful. On the other hand, the person who is adept in this path of karma yoga, when he becomes contemplative, he will attain to Brahman, that cosmic consciousness, without any delay. So in the 7th verse it says that what this path of karma yoga, when it reaches its maturity, this yoga yukta, the person who is perfected in that yoga yukta, he becomes vishuddhatma. His mind, his heart gets pure, focus without any adulterations. He is in no two minds. So purity of mind, this concept many time in earlier classes who might have attended must have heard from me, that I generally like to understand the purity of mind or this purity concept as purity is discussed in, suppose, with respect to materials, as in chemistry or metallurgy. What does mean by a pure hydrogen? So 98% pure. So it is hydrogen means 98% are hydrogen atoms only. 99%. So that is purity. So no other things are there. A purer mind in the similar way. So when such mind, we can get the idea, the strength of that mind. So focus easily comes with that mind. When that mind is focused, a purer mind is focused, there are no contravening thoughts passing across his mind or that span of attention. Purer mind. His purer mind, that is, now we come to compare it with the materials. Mind is matter. Let us not forget that. So a purer mind It is constantly focused, constantly grouped, constantly tied, constantly oriented to the consciousness, the purer consciousness, which is one without a second, which is absolutely one. Rather, the oneness is the consciousness. Now, he becomes purer, Vishuddhatma, Vijitatma, having control over his mind and senses, control over the mind, Jitendriya, winning over the his senses. So these all qualities he gets endowed with, and he attains that consciousness, oneness with all beings, Sarva Bhutatma Bhutatma. Now here this phrase comes for which I referred this verse. Kurvan api na lipyate. Now this person who has become perfected, who has attained this highest realization of finding the oneness, realizing the oneness of his being with other beings, he is still in action, Kurvan. But he does not get smeared by tied by the fruits of the actions. This is how this is possible. This is possible because this here in this chapter, what we see, the completely giving up of the action, the true idea of renunciation of action. So now 8, 9 verses, these different verses again and again they are showing, like in 9 verses, 9th verse it comes, Indriyani indriyartheshu vartante iti dharayan. So like indriyas, his senses are interacting with the sense objects, sense matters. So that is its realization, that is what he is thinking. Iti dharayan, that is his dharana. But at the same time, what he is all the time realizing, that naiva kinchit karomi iti, that I am not doing anything, that is his constant realization. Naiva kinchit karomi iti yukto manyeta tattvavit. So this yukta tattvavit who has known this truth, the highest truth, this is what he come to think of. So all his actions are surrendered, or rather they are erected using Brahman as the substratum. They are taking place in and within Brahman. Nothing, that consciousness now, nothing falls out of its arena, nothing falls out of that realization now. Brahmani adhaya karmani. And this is how giving of action, giving up, where I give up something. So I give up our old clothes, old shoes or something from my house. So what does I do? Either if they are very bad, I will cast them into some dustbin, or which will be taken away by this garbage collecting trucks, etc. If there are can be made good use of, so I will give it to some person who would like to use it, etc. So when I give up, it has to go somewhere, isn't it? So similarly, here also idea comes, Sangam Tyaktva. So I am giving up this attachment, giving up the action. Where that is going? I am giving up attachment to actions. So where my attachment is going? My attachment is going to Brahman. That knowledge, that realization. Where actions are going, where this world is going, it is going to Brahman. Again that verse in the 4th chapter, Brahmaharpanam, Brahmahavi, etc. So that the false identity of the self, the small identity of the self, that I am this body-mind complex, that is almost dissolved. That is not his realization anymore. It is just exist, as Sri Ramakrishna is to put it, like that very thin and clear glass of the lantern, where an insect sees the flame and it feels or it come to think that that flame is there and it can simply run up to the flame, but it dash on that glass cover. It cannot reach. That glass cover is so transparent that it can hardly think of that anything exists in between. Forget about the insects. Many times we people bump into some glass doors. Where are there sliding glass doors and there are not appropriate sign. Many times we will see in the stores, in the malls, airports, we will see people, they are doing this kind of stuff. Sometime in inadvertence and sometime in utter confusion, not able to make out. So that sense of what we call it as ego, that small identity is almost merged. Just there is a very thin membrane. That ignorance, now it is of the nature of that transparent glass. Transparent glass. That's it. That it's the light of that inner light of pure consciousness is fully radiating. Now, so that's why this 11th verse, Kayena Manasa Buddhya Kevalai Indriyerapi, that his body is engaged, mind is engaged, his intellect is engaged, his senses are engaged, but ego is vanished. And Yoginaha, he is yogi, he is Tattvavit, he is Yuktaha, so he has attained to realization that Sarva Bhutatma Bhutatma, still Karma Kurvanti. He has not given up actions, but this is the spirit of. So Karma Yoga, while doing, continuing to do action, continued to be engaged in action and attaining this spirit of, attaining this ideal of renunciation. So how he is giving up? He is giving up through this by giving up this small identity, because giving up of this identity will sever this bond between karta, this karma, and karma phala. Because naiva kinchit karomiti, when he has attained such kind of realization, that is the state of his mind, there is no kartrutva. So karma phala cannot come back to him. That chain is severed. He is a free Jivan Mukta Mahapurush. Jivan Mukta Mahapurush. So that is the point. Karma sannyasa is not, because this is what I wanted to point it out to you. That it is not there in Karma Yoga, Bhagwan is asking to do karma, and in the Karma Sannyasa Yoga or Sannyasa Yoga, he is asking to give up action. They are not the contradictory statements. It is the perfection, is the epitome of perfection. He has attained that highest. That while doing action, he is not doing any action. So thus giving up of the action means thus attaining the perfection. So now in this context, this 13th verse, we have seen that in the 12th verse it said that this person attains this Shanti, born out of this Nishtha, continuously pursuing his path. Here this word was used, Atma Shuddhaye. I said Atma Shuddhaye, this Atma Shuddhi is not in the sense of in the lower strata of a sadhaka. He is the perfected being. So what is Atma Shuddhi is about? That honing, he is perfecting his realization. I had given examples, reminded you of the words of Swami Brahmanand Ji Maharaj. So he attains this Shanti. And what is his state now? That Sarva Karmani Manasa Sanyasya Aste Sukham Vashi. So he rests with happiness, having subdued all his senses and given up all his actions through his mind. Through his mind. Mind is that bridge which connects, which is grosser than it and which is subtler than it. So mind is the subtle matter. What is subtler than it? Which is not matter, perhaps. That is. Which is grosser than that? What is the grosser? This body is grosser than it. The mind. So mind is that bridge which connects. So through this, if mind dissolves, if that link is broken, so that being will be separated, will be liberated, will become free. So Sarva Karmani Manasa Sanyasya Aste Sukham Vashi. And now this second portion of this 13th verse. Navadvare Pure Dehi Na Eva Kurvan Na Karayan. Now from here I discuss these verses of because we had taken this 14th and 15th verse in the next earlier class, and we need a proper background for it. So it starts from this 13th verse. Navadvara Pura. What is this 9-gated city? It is referred to as our body. Navadvara Pura. Now here in this Pure, in this body, Dehi, one, this is Deha, and one who lives in it or who owns it, the owner or the dweller, you can say, Dehi. He is called as Dehi. Dehi is the one who owns the body or who dwells within the body. Dehi. Deha and Dehi. So, this Dehi, it is not doing anything and neither it is causing something to happen. So, this is the nature of pure Atman. So, it does not. So, why this verse has come, why these words have come? When he was talking about the person, the Yoga Yukta, Vijitatma, Vishiddhatma, Jitendriyaha, Sarva Bhutatma, Bhutatma. Now, because, and here he is talking about the Atman, Dehi. Earlier he was talking about this Sukham Vashi, the person who has subdued his senses, have got control over himself, over his mind. The talk was going about that person. Now here he is in the same verse. The first half talks about the person. The second half talks about the Atman, the principle. So person and principle. So here they are as if intermingling. This person has given up all action, attained that sannyasa while doing action. Yogina karma kurvanti. He is doing action, he is yogi. And still attained the renunciation of action. Still able to give up the action in that way. It is not like that I am still on the job and not doing anything. That is not karma sannyas. I am still drawing the salary. There are some places, and must have been some people you might have heard. So he is drawing regular salary. Every day comes, gives his presentee, and does nothing. He will go to this tea shop, take tea, get some pan or something, chat with his friends, etc., etc. After getting enough bored, then he returns back, does nothing. So this is not giving of up actions while doing action. So that is not being discussed or talked about here. So here the person who is not touched by the sense of doership of the action, when that person has attained, it is not some kind of physical realm that we can understand, because sarva karmani manasa sanyasya aste. So it is the state of purification of the mind. The consciousness is uplifted to that level, where that is that person's realization that naiva kinchit karomi, that I am not doing anything, that indriyani indriyartheshu vartante, that senses as if they are intermingling, they are interacting with the sense objects, the respective sense objects. So this person is untouched by the action, its doership or its fruits. Now this is very much the quality of the inner principle. Here person is almost has reached to the level of all personal, if we can say, shortcomings. He is getting rid of. And that person itself, that now there is very little difference, a very little distinction have remained between the person and the principle. Principle, not principal of the school or college. Principle, P-L-E, Tattva. Purusha and Tattva. In Vedanta, we can very distinctively we can call Purusha to the Atman, Tattva to the Brahman. Very much. So here Vyakti and Tattva. So in the first half of the verse, Bhagavan talks about the Vyakti, the Purusha, the person. And in the second half he talks about the principle, the Atman. Navadware pure dehi naiva kurvanna karayan. Now this is being talked that these are the attributes, if this word can be used, because Vedantis are very clear about not to use this word with respect to Brahman, because that is attributes belong to matter, and Atman or Brahman is not matter. We cannot call them as attributes or qualities. We cannot call it. So what is Satchit Ananda? It is its nature. That's what it is. They are not its qualities. They are not its attributes. So here with this limited liberty, if we use the word attributes for the sake of our understanding, for the sake of the conveying our thoughts. So these attributes of the Atman here, now when they are extended in two dimensions, suppose that individual Atman, when that idea is expounded to the Lord of the universe, that cosmic soul or cosmic Atman or cosmic consciousness, the consciousness which is ruling over, which is the, as Swami Vivekananda ji had explained, defined Ishvara as the sum total of all individual self, that is the Ishvara. We saw this in the beginning of the fourth chapter, that is, he is the one who is born as Avatara, he is also Ishvara, and he is also Ajaha, that is signifying as Brahman, that Ajopi san avyayatma bhutanam Ishvaropi san. He had said this, Bhagwan had said this. Now, so it can be extended in that dimension, it can also be extended in another dimension as this perfected yogi, this person. And both on both these two sides of the scale, these qualities will reflect equally or in the same way. So here it is talked about the Prabhu, the God, the Ishvara. And what is talked about him? This is very essential, because we love to adore God in bhakti. And this is what Bhagwan is saying about God. There is Advaita Vedanta, and how do we reconcile the Atman, the Brahman, the principle of the Vedanta with the idea of devotion? So there must be something, because Bhagwan, it is his own words that he is the all three entities. That Brahman, which is never born, Ajopi, then Avyaya Atma, individual soul, and Bhutanam, Ishvara, and Bhutanam Ishvaropi san. And what is the next word? That Prakrutim Swam Adhishtaya Sambhavami Atma Mayaya. Prakrutim Swam Adhishtaya also says that I am the Swami, and also supersedes the Prakruti, Swabhava Prakruti. Swabhava in the sense of the individual being, Prakruti. So he is the Swami of the Prakruti, supersedes that principle of Prakruti. Prakrutim Swam, that he owns that Swam, my Prakruti, Mahat, Mama Prakruti. Prakrutim Swam Adhisthaya Sambhavami, I get born, Sambhavami. In English language, very nice the way put it. I am born, so a certain person we write about, he was born. So it is not in active voice, because person do not very nice to think about it, that we cannot get birth by our own effort. But here Bhagwan use it, such word, Sambhavami, I get born myself, Sambhavami Atma Mayaya, with the help of, with the making my Maya as an instrument, because this Mayaya is in the third case, Tritiya Vibhakti, which is Karana, That is instrumental case, Atma Mayaya. This Maya is also mine. This Prakriti is also mine. With the making my Maya as an instrument, I take birth. I cannot say that I take birth. So, because we are Jivas, he is Ishvara. Now, this Ishvara, so to understand, because this verse, I understand it is very cardinal in framing, in setting of our devotional attitude, the devotional philosophy. Because devotion is a very subjective thing. And prayers, etc., they are a very essential part, very essential core of bhakti. Now our Lord God Bhagwan Sri Krishna, he's saying these words, verse number 14. So we have to understand that where does our bhakti stands, how does our understanding of our beloved God stands. If it is not correct, then we might have to align ourselves to the word of God rather than to my understanding or my impression or how I feel. So what Bhagwan is saying, he is saying, now extending that idea, now what was said about the Dehi, Navadware Pure Dehi, Naiva Kurvan Na Karayan, that was said in the earlier verse, 13th verse. Now that idea is extended further here, Na Kartrutvam Na Karmani Lokasya Srujati Prabhu. That he does not create anybody's doership. So whatever somebody does, he cannot blame him or he cannot hold responsible to Bhagwan, to Ishvara. Ishvara does not create somebody's kartrutva. You are responsible for it, your own karma. You are responsible for your own kartrutva. Na kartrutvam na karmani. And neither does Bhagwan create any action. This Prabhu, this Ishvara, he is not responsible for my actions. I cannot say that why he have done that, why he made me do that, why it is happening to me. So, however very nice it might sound, and while we interact with God in our devotional sphere, we like to correlate to him with these kinds of terms. So Bhagwan is denying that. You cannot hold me responsible for it. Na kartrutvam na karmani. So that means, and if we read Swamiji's Bhakti Yoga very clearly, that those 5 talks, 5 lectures on Bhakti Yoga. So I feel they are very essential to understand this idea of bhakti. What we are trying to pursue. The people who are just doing it in their own way and who do not mean any serious effort as sadhana, for them it is all right. For them, whether to they would not be listening to this talk, perhaps. That's what I understand. Bhakti as a sadhana, a serious pursuit of spiritual advancement. For those means they have to do this our analysis. They have to do this again this self checkup, whether we are thinking right, whether we are framing our thoughts properly, whether our efforts are directed, oriented properly, whether we are doing it right, whether we are progressing, whether it is bearing fruit, whether it is advancing in our expected direction, or we are simply doing some stuff which we are now tired to check it up again and in the expectation that it will bear fruit. So we cannot have this luxury of pramada. This is called as pramada. You go slack. Now, na kartrutvam, not doership, not the deeds, and neither the fruits of those deeds. Karma phala sanyogam. Actually, the union, sanyogam. So, we have some action. Now, for example, so that Karna story we remember that he was cursed by his guru, that all his vidya will vanish at the time when he will need most. And certain other curse was there when he would be in the most important battle of his life. The wheel of his chariot will go into the earth. So he will, that revenge will come upon him. Not any time. So that timing is very important. Timing is very important. There must have been several instances in his life. So when it might not have happened, and Karna, a person may very well think that whatever that curse was, it has not come to pass because this was equally important battle. Because it didn't happen when he was killing Ghatat Kocha and other, he was raining fury over the battlefield of Kurukshetra. It didn't happen anywhere else, but or in earlier battles he didn't forget his vidya, or his the wheel of his chariot didn't give in those times. So when it is repeatedly happening, one person might very well think, so whatever the poor Brahmin has cursed may not come to pass. But it has chosen its timing, a perfect one. So timing is very important. So we are doing a lot of karmas and expecting its karma phalas, good karmas and maybe not so good karmas. But their timing will actually matter. This karma phala sanyogam. Your union with the fruits of your actions. Karma phala sanyogam. So Bhagavan is saying, many times we have used this phrase that nobody can, beat the timing of God. Bhagavan ka timing ekdam perfect hota hai, etc. Bhagavan is denying that. He is saying, na karma phala sanyogam. I am not responsible for its timing. I am not doing that. You are all the time you are attributing to me, oh Bhagwan, आपने मुझे बहुत कृपा की कि मेरी अभी promotion हो गया. That I got promotion by your grace, or my daughter got a nice place, nice family she is married in, or I have got a nice daughter-in-law, or my son has got a nice job, or I got some other success, etc. He is saying, I am not responsible for it. Na kartrutvam, na karmani. Neither it is your intention or your will, kartrutvam, if we speak about, nor what happens. You go with a good intention. Something otherwise happens. Nor karmani nor kartrutam, both. na karma phalo sayogam, whatever the resultant of it. So he is saying swabhavastu pravartate, that only this swabhava, this prakriti, she is reigning in its full tempo. It is her job. I am not that. The same idea, indriyani indriyartheshu vartante. Swabhavastu pravartate. The similar idea. So, this is what Bhagavan is saying. So, this 15th verse is very much the extension. Thus, na adatte kasyachit papam na cha evam sukritam vibhuhu. That I does not accept or take away somebody's sins or somebody's the fruits of virtuous deeds, sukrutam, that adnyanena avrutam, covered, shrouded by this ignorance. This knowledge is shrouded by this ignorance, and all jantavah, all beings are deluded by this ignorance. Muhyanti, mohitam bhavati, muhyanti. So all these beings are deluded, and thus they move, they go about and propelled and pushed into action. So what is Bhakta's idea? Now, it is, so in this light, we must understand Bhakti anew, afresh, very clearly. Bhakta, who is living in this world, who has to pass through these thick and thins of life, he has a very natural tendency to run away to God. That is how we have been taught to nurture our bhakti, because we have taken to bhakti because there is that principle that Brahman has appeared in human form, to whom I can correlate to whom I can talk to whom I can see, to whom I can adore, worship, who can feed and live along with him. So that is the beauty of bhakti. So naturally, when things are unbearable in my life, I am going to my friend, so to this my beloved God, the most dear person whom I can trust more than anything else. But what then this attitude? I remember this small piece in Mahabharata. It comes that after Mahabharata war, Yudhishthira was announced as the king, the Samrat, Chakravarti Samrat, and then all the whoever were there, they paid their respects to him, and so he ruled over that part of this Kurukshetra. And when there was time, then they had to leave. They were given permission to enter into Swarga directly along with their bodies. They do not have to leave their bodies. So they can climb into Swarga directly. So this is. So Svargarohana, they are walking toward north. They are walking toward north. Now, so Draupadi is there. Other his brothers are there. One dog is also there. So while now there are a lot of dialogues. So in one of the dialogues, Draupadi is asking Yudhishthira that I have not understood one thing. Now Yudhishthira says, so what have you not understood? He said that you have been always very righteous, always stuck to dharma. You never wavered from it, always adhered to it. And Bhagwan himself, Sri Krishna, he was your constant refuge. You never crossed his words ever. You always sought his advice on important matters and did accordingly. He was your constant support, protector. And one thing I cannot still understand is that why that you adore him so much and he loves you so much, and then why so much pain, sorrow and difficulty in our life? Why our life had been like that? So Draupadi, as she was a princess, she was a woman, so very naturally, very beautifully she put it. So why she could not have a happy family life? Though she braved all these kinds of ups and downs and thick and thins, very naturally at the end of all this turmoil she is asking, why they couldn't have a simple, joyful life? And when God was there, always their Sakha, and you adore him so much, you are devoted to him so much, and he loves you back still. Why it happened like that? So Yudhishthira is replying that Draupadi, see these Himalayas, aren't these peaks so beautiful? So she said, yes, they are beautiful, very magnanimous. They fill your heart with such inexplicable joy. So he is saying that, do they, these peaks, they ask from us anything? She says, no, they do not ask from us anything. Do we give them anything? Can we give them anything? So she said, no, not that. They are, we cannot have this idea. We cannot give them anything. They are too huge and they don't need anything from us. They don't give us anything, we don't give them anything, and still we adore them. It is because they are just simply so beautiful. Their sight itself fills your heart with unethereal joy. He says, I worship the Lord, I love the Lord, I adore Bhagwan, just like that. I do not have any expectation to get something from him by giving him something or like that. I do not have this idea